Welcome to Frontrunners Innovate, where we connect you to global leaders meeting the world's challenges through business and innovation. Our guest for this episode is Bob LeVine. He is the president of University Consultants of America. You may not have even heard of the type of service that Bob and his team provides. I know I hadn't, but what an absolute blessing it is. The company works with college-bound students and their families to prepare them for college choice, admissions, life experience while there, and afterward into career. In this episode, we'll explore the depth of services and get Bob to answer questions on how the company operates globally, the ages he works with, common challenges, and so forth. This is a not to be missed episode. Now, I'm your podcast host, Mary Curick, CEO of Frontrunners Development, a global business development consultancy that connects businesses to change the world. So let's get you connected right now to Bob LeVine. Well, welcome to another episode of Frontrunners Innovate. And the smiling face that you have in front of you is probably one of the most unique experts I have ever run across. And I'm so delighted that I did. So thank you, Andy Greider, if you hear this somewhere for the introduction. Bob LeVine is just truly a gift. I mean, honestly, I can't imagine having someone more valuable in a network than you, especially for parents of youth that are getting of the age that need to start thinking about college and next level of education. So with your experience, I don't want to give a whole lot away because we've already done the intro, but I want you to share a little bit about your background and what brought you into the wonderful work that you do with your level of expertise.
Thank you for the kind words. I'll try to live up to them. I went to Harvard for undergraduate school, and for alumni, Harvard likes to use alumni for the interview part of the undergraduate application. So I immediately started doing that, and 29 years later, we're still doing it. Becoming the chairman of my region here in Florida, and at the same time, I was a practicing lawyer, and I didn't like it. One day, I just quit. I couldn't. And my wife said, "What are you going to do now?" I'm like, "I don't know." She says, "Well, you like giving speeches. You like being a public speaker. Why don't you do that?" I'm like, "Great. What do I talk about?" "Well, you do all of these speeches on behalf of Harvard. You don't have to. You choose to, and you like it. Why don't you do that?" And I made a joke. I'll be the Tony Robbins of college consultants. And the next morning, I realized that my practice as a lawyer, primarily a trial lawyer, was influencing people. That's how it works. I grew up in a family that was marketing. My dad was one of the original madmen, and I had an affinity for that and actually did some marketing. And I'd taken some courses. And I'm like, I could do this for college stuff. And my experience with Harvard taught me the methods, how they do what they do. My experience as a lawyer was to understand the goal and backfill. That's how you prepare for trial. So I started a company. And in my very first discussion with another professional, a lady from Canterbury, England, she said, "You built your company like a lawyer would." And 24 hours later, I figured out she was right. So started a little den thing, got an office, and in my never take no for an answer mentality and the idea that there are no walls, it just kind of grew. And we've been doing it now for 12 years. We've worked with over 2,000 students. We have students presently on every continent except Antarctica because there's nobody there. Although it's educational, it's kind of global community. We're actually in the process of trying to create a treaty between the United States and another country. And to tell you how fun the job is, we're going to be going back to Indonesia in November. First stop there is in Bali because we're going to the wedding of one of our former students. How fun is this job?
Well, there's very much a family sort of approach that you have to this. You can look on your website and see that, and get that feeling that every child, and I call them every child, every youth that you work with, and family, because it is a family endeavor. I mean, that is something that you make no bones about. It is a family situation that they become part of your family.
They kind of do, and it's an extended family. fact, the first thing we tell our client managers, get to know the family, get to know the parents, because that's the world the student lives in. And we need to understand all factors. But we also do something unique, and that's a word that's overused. This is actually unique. In our world, when people hire educational consultants, they keep the relationship a secret. We don't. We will, but we prefer to be transparent and introduce our clients to each other, to former clients, to parents, to professionals. We do group seminars. We do group webinars. We go out to dinner with our clients. We go to their weddings. So we kind of break down this enclosure that just makes everybody more nervous. And at first people looked at us like, what? And now they get it and they love it, because building that personal relationship allows us to push the student really hard to get the best work, and they're comfortable with it. This is literally the first team. We're there, the center of the team, and we want to build that even further by creating a network. For example, last year we connected a student in Shanghai with one in Jakarta to do a multinational service organization. So rather than just chasing stuff for an application, our theory is build the person. The resume happens organically once you build the person. And there's a lot of people on this team, and the parents are part of it, the schools are part of it, the tutors are part of it. There's a lot of people. We just want all of that to work, because then they get great results, and that makes us look good.
Well, I think when I first met you, I thought this was just US wide. You've definitely broadened everything that you've done, right, probably right from the beginning, and made it a global thing. But which I think is really fascinating. I love that aspect of what you do. The other thing, and right before we came on record, you were talking about the different levels of education that you do work with. Would you share a little bit more about that?
Yes, thank you for that. Look, the money, if you will, the most desired program is get me into college.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons for that, but that's nowhere close to what we do. And I'm pretty sure no other consultancy does this. We actually start as early as grade 1. Now, that's not for the kids. That's for the parents. Service. I have questions. What do I do? Starting in high school, we start focusing on the undergraduate opportunities, not just how to build a resume and apply, but rather how to become the kind of person that is coveted by the schools, which again comes back to the family thing. So we do an awful lot of first-year application work. We also do transfer work, meaning that students who generally did not hire us don't like where they are, so we help them get to a better place. We've created 2 programs for right after high school that I don't think exist elsewhere. We call them bridge programs. The first is a career planning bridge, because kids leave the home into a new environment with a lot of new influences, and they're kind of clueless as to what to do. That's not exactly the best way to find your path. So in the career planning bridge, we provide a life planner, some people who are practiced in college to career, and they use more formal testing, whereas before that we had used some more Socratic method work. We provide them our data, and they work with us, and they do their thing. And then they help the students, as early as November of freshman year, pick classes, understand majors, and just be a guide or a mentor when mom and dad aren't around and maybe don't understand. The second bridge program is basically pre-med, pre-health. Because here's the thing, there are pre-med advisors on campus. I don't know any doctors who go back to a college to be a pre-med advisor, who go to college to become a pre-med advisor. So these are people who basically aren't as skilled as you would like, but even if they are, they're supposed to help everybody at the university. You're not getting special whatever. So our idea is to get them started early, because they're low person on the totem pole. I know that's politically incorrect, but they're not getting a lot of opportunities as a freshman in college. Those are reserved. And with a shorter time frame for applying, we want to show them how to get amazing opportunities so that their experiences, as they say, are more robust on the application. We do grad school work. It could be MD, PhD, residency, law school, business school, master's in engineering management. If it's got an application, we're experts at it. Even have had the pleasure, and I mean that, to do applications for Rhodes scholarships and for Fulbrights. How fun is that? And finally, after people finish their education, we have something we call Life Launch, which helps them enter the workforce successfully, helps them milestone life events so that they can plan, including referral to wealth managers, and just shows them all kinds of things. Again, it's not an hourly thing. You get what you want, but we see education very broadly, not just internationally, but for every individual. I mean, we all learn every day. And one of the things that we do and that we like to do is to mentor and to provide information so people can make their decisions. And it becomes kind of a lifelong relationship, which is what my wife says all the time. Your best friends are your students. What's wrong with that? They haven't been destroyed by life yet.
They're fun.
They're fun, and I get to go to their wedding. I don't know what a Bali wedding looks like in Indonesia, but what
I've had the pleasure of bringing you a couple of people, and I love the fact that you like to start with the parents that you can get on the call with the student. And what do you find is the biggest question on the parents' minds as they come to you fresh with no real concept of, you can tell them or they can look on your website about what you do, but with no real concept of what this means going forward for them or for their child?
Well, the first thing we get isn't a question, it's a comment.
Okay.
I don't know how it works. That is followed by, because I didn't go to college in the US, or because I went to college so long ago, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Truth is, everybody comes and is like, I don't know what to do. That's why they come.
Yeah.
So in our first meetings, we basically established two things. Number one, that we have expertise, because why hire an expert who isn't an expert?
Yeah.
And number two, we make them feel better. They come in with anxiety. And so we're like, okay, here's how it works. We don't sell the company in the sense, we sell information. They're nervous. How does this work? So if they're younger, we'll start with, okay, here is the next few years kind of mapped out loosely. So you understand where you're going, because the unknown will make you nuts. If they're closer in time, okay, here is how the colleges evaluate, and it's different. Let's take a look at your goals. And so we can get you there by understanding the method. And so usually within 30 minutes, they're like, this is different than I thought. It is, because there's an awful lot of bad information out there in the interwebs. It's an education, it's still an industry. So our job is basically first information. Seeing that, they're like, got it.
I would kind of figure one of the first questions they would have, along with how much is it going to cost, how much is the education going to cost, and is there an opportunity for scholarships somewhere along the way? That would be one, I think, if it were me. But I think another one would be where? Where would my kid fit? Where should I point them? Or where should they start looking? So can you answer some of how you deal with those?
And those two concerns, sure.
I'm taking notes, I'm sorry.
It's being recorded though, so you're okay.
The
questions about cost benefit analysis and what we would call fit actually correlate. The same people who provide scholarships from the university are the people who decide to pick you. If they like you more and they want you more, they'll give you money.
Mm-hmm.
How it works. And then we know that there are certain schools that are seeking, let's say, somebody from Africa in a different way and coveting it. But in terms of selecting schools, the first thing we tell everybody is look away from the rankings. The rankings are part of the business of the thing. Let's take US News, for example. A very fine public school in the state of Washington is University of Washington in Seattle. We like it very much. In the US News national rankings, they currently have UW ranked number 40 in the United States. In the same company's global international rankings, UW is ranked number 6. The math doesn't compute, but it does, because the industry has created different algorithms, different mathematical formulae, and the colleges manipulate their information in that direction. And just because something is a well-known school doesn't mean it's good for the student. So we try to erase, and it takes a while. We gotta kind of clean up the conditioning and have them understand that fit is critical. If you're in the wrong place, bad things happen. We know bad things happen. Suicide is a thing. 1,100 people a year, college kids. That's not a good result, no matter what the school is.
No.
But at the same time, when we go dark, we want to show the brightness. Yeah, if you look the other way, there's some stuff. So about 5 years ago, we had a guy who almost got kicked out of his IB high school for bad grades. He went to a school ranked number 159. He went in not knowing whether he would do business or engineering. He ended up going pre-med. And he did pretty well because this month he started at the Northwestern University School of Medicine because he was in the right place. So our job is admissions, our goal is success. So we start to say, okay, there are factors. In fact, for fit, we look at 4: structured institutions, structure of the curriculum, on-campus culture, off-campus opportunities. But we need to evaluate the student first. So our first meetings are a series of different evaluations just so that we and they understand their nature and their strengths. And some of this even includes habit, not what you're good at, but whether you bother to do it.
Yeah, this is true.
All designed so that when we start looking at universities and suggesting them, because we have a lot, and it's not just the US, it could be UK, Canada. We have kids in Bocconi in Italy. But the idea is for they understand themselves, which they generally don't. They do community service, but nobody helps them understand them. So what are you going to look backwards at puberty and before? That's not adult. So we try to put a mirror up so they understand where they're good and where they're not. And then we can show them options and why they might be good. You're not picking a school until after you get your offers.
Yeah.
You can't. So the goal is to have a bunch of options at the very end of high school. This is when you make your deposit. So that as you mature, particularly the boys, their last year of school, major changes. But when you've got the best information in the best position, then we want you to have too many great options so you can make the best possible option. And it's crazy because it's in that last sentence, everybody loses their mind. What do I do? Oh, you've got 5 amazing options. You're not going to make a mistake. Just do this. Really? Yeah. Like, you're right. So it's a process. But it does kind of start with a relationship because we need to decondition them, open their mind, and show them options so that they can make their best decision. That's our job, to help them make the best decision for themselves.
I think you end up with a lot of kids, especially if they're coming out of high school, that maybe have never been away from home. They've never really traveled much away from their hometown. This must be a little scary process for them, just a bit.
It can be. The way we do it, they get empowered. We treat them like normal people. No longer adult child, teacher student, no longer subordinate. In our program, they have to call us by first name. And I literally say, my name is Bob, say hi, Bob. And they do. And they're like, weird, right? Like, yeah. But after a while, they get used to it. And I tell them, look, if you could be sarcastic and try to pull one over me, bring it. Who are these crazy people? But we just want to be normal. And it empowers them. And by relieving the stress and giving them hope in a different way, they really enjoy it for the most part. If they're engaged, if they're not engaged, they don't. But they have fun when we criticize them because they know it's for their best interest.
And they're learning. Yeah.
Yes.
So how long does an average program that you enroll a student in, how long a process is that?
Kind of depends on when they start because we have to work backwards from the deadlines.
Yes.
So if it's a mission program, you know, if it's in 12th grade, as we say in the US, the first semester of that last year is when you apply. Well, we backfill. So we have people signing up now for the next couple of months. And we can do it, but we have to rearrange the schedule. My preferred time for those would be more like 2 years before, because we can help them grow, help the parents understand how to grow, and get them to the point where they're well positioned for the final effort. It also builds a relationship, but there are also times when it's too early. So our programs aren't really defined by length of time, because that's kind of defined by the client, when they get here. They're more defined by what the goals are. And we have different options, different price points. You can always upgrade. But we recommend, okay, let's start with the basics, because whatever we do, our mantra for quality is always the same. Whatever it is, it's always top quality. It's just a quantitative thing, and you can get more. So if I had my choice, not the couple of months before it's due. That's hard. And it's not hard for us. It's hard for them because they're just not that trust factor. So
there's a pressure and anxiety, I think, that comes along with that. That's really hard for students.
There is. So a lot of people will come to us at the end of the prior grade in the US at the end of grade 11. A lot of them will do it like January 1 of grade 11 because it's the new year and they're looking forward. But others come to us early. In fact, we had one family where they asked for questions and the kid was in grade 7. So we answered some questions and they signed up kind of fully later. But during that time, we do a lot of informational webinars. I said, Mom, just watch the webinars. It's fine. It's okay. And when the child applied, the family had watched 7 years of our webinars. On Saturday morning, they would get popcorn and just watch. Seriously, they did. And if you go to our website on the Our Community page, there's one video. It's that family. Girl going for her first choice school. And you open it up and like, yay. This was after 7 years of text message discussions. Yeah, just talking. And they're like, yeah, it worked. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's why we do it. So really, I think the starting point is when the student is ready. If they're not really interested, they're not going to engage. And it takes us a while to fix that. So as soon as they're ready, let's go. Let's have fun.
That's amazing. I think I've asked you this before in some other past communication, but do you work with organizations as well as families that may need your consultative genius?
Absolutely. In fact, we work with high schools for free. We give them trainings, how to write a recommendation letter. We help them revise their profiles that explain the context of the student development. We give talks to the parents and each grade, and they're all different, all free of charge. How to do what to do. We work with charitable organizations. We will be there whenever anybody wants us to be there. So, for example, we've put on live seminars for, there's a lot of South Asian Indians where we live, and there have been 250 people in the room. No charge. We believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. So any opportunity to help, look, we're going to make money from the people who hire us for the discrete, directed work of the application. We're fine. But we don't do this job to make money. It is why you go to work. We do it because, and in hiring, there are 4 factors that we look at that are part of our culture. Number 1, you have to care about students and education. And our people do. With that, we can get the rest of it done. So it's not a job. It's not really a career. It's kind of a passion. So you might understand that we have a lot of people who have been teachers before, who are frustrated that they can't. And their ability to mentor and make a life difference in this scenario is so much higher. But if you know, or anybody listening or watching wants help with anything, holler. We're here for it.
Well, you just killed the last question I was going to ask you. Who do you need to meet to help you move forward in what you're doing? And that's basically anybody that wants help in education, whether you're an organization, a charity, a high school, or you're a parent or a youth that's interested in moving, or a government that's looking forward to moving things forward. I think it's fantastic.
It's very open-minded. The kind of stuff we think about here has no walls, and it's kind of mind-blowing. As an example, I had always wanted to put on a college fair. There's events where a bunch of colleges come at tables and do whatever. Around January or February, I said to our higher ups, let's hold a college fair. How do we do that? I've done it before. We'll figure it out. And we did. We had about 35 colleges show up. Everything from Harvard to a couple of 2-year schools. And several hundred people came. We lost money on the deal, but we got to do a college fair. You want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. For those hearing my voice,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this. This is fantastic. You gave me a piece of information I did not know in this recording, so this is useful, that you also place people in colleges outside of the United States too, if that's
Yes.
the right fit. And I
Yes.
didn't know that before. I thought it was incoming here. It is also outgoing, so it doesn't matter. If it's the right fit, then it works.
If it's the right fit, and again, we're looking for options that might be the right fit.
Yeah.
And if it teaches in English, because the only two
Yes.
languages I know are English and dog. I can talk to
Yeah.
dogs. I can't talk to the citizens, but the dogs I'm good with.
Yeah, I'm learning a little meow myself. I'm trying to figure that out. So, because I have cats, I have two cats.
Skills.
They just look at me and meow at me, so I don't know. But this has been fantastic. And I literally took notes again. I've talked to you a couple of 3 times, so, and communicated back and forth, a few times. So thank you for this. This has been really very educational and very meaningful. So thank you, Bob. And thank you for all that you and your staff do for everybody
I'd like
around
to
the world
thank
that
you.
helps.
I'd like to
Yeah.
thank you because by endeavoring these podcasts and spreading the word and allowing us to spread the word, it makes a difference on a global scale. And this is what I do for my life's work.
Oh man, you're going to get so many phone calls after this. I hope you're ready. Bring it on. This is amazing. Well, thank you once again. Thank you to everybody for watching. And we will be back next time for Frontrunners Innovate. Thanks. Thank you, Bob.